Hello friends, we are going to look at the difference and the similarities between the Red-Haired Boy, a classic American fiddle tune, and the Jolly Beggarman, which in Ireland is a hornpipe and a song, and the very same melody.
I am a little beggarman, I'm begging I have been I for 80 or more in this little Isle of Green. I'm known from the Liffey down to Sigew, and I'm known by the name of old Johnny Doo.
So I'm no ethnomusicologist or music historian. I had a little bit of a look online, and in Scotland there's a song called An Gile Rua, which means the red-haired rogue, and that certainly could explain the connection with the red-haired boy. In Ireland we know it as the Jolly Beggarman, but it's also known as the Auld Rigadoo or Johnny Doo, and some of that comes from the lyrics of the song. But the Auld Rigadoo sounds a lot like An Gile Rua, so you have that red-haired rogue, red-haired boy, Jolly Beggarman, the little beggarman. It's the same melody. Can't exactly pin down where the origins are exactly, which came first, the song or the hornpipe or the reel. Maybe we'll never know. But we're going to look at two different ways to play it. So we're going to look at the bluegrass version, specifically a version that's played by Tony Rice, who is the godfather of flat-picking bluegrass guitar. We're also going to look at it from the Irish context. Played as a hornpipe or a barn dance with that signature bounce. Very different rhythmically and ornamentally from the American version. As always, very curious to see which one of the versions that you prefer. With the Irish version, I'm going to break it down. We're going to look at the very simple tune. We're going to look at single note ornaments. We're going to look at triplets. We're going to look at chords and harmony, because there's a lot of fun stuff that can be added into this as a hornpipe. So here we go. The Jolly Beggarman, the red-haired boy. Which one do you prefer? Let's learn the very simple tune. Let's keep it nice and basic, nice and slow. We are going to try and bring in that hornpipe lilt to it, even at the slow pace, and we'll definitely build on that as we speed it up. Let's keep it nice and simple. This time we're going to add in single note triplets and some simple ornaments. Again, we're going to try and build on the pace a little bit, but also keeping that nice lyrical, rhythmical hornpipe bounce. In this version, I'm going to show you how to use the 3-note triplets and the single note triplets. We're going to keep the pace nice and slow, again still emphasizing the bounce that's in the hornpipes, but this is really achievable ornamentation without it affecting the rhythm and the flow of the tune. So this is nice and simple, but we're adding in a good bit more ornamentation. Let's up the pace another bit, more bounce, more swing, more ornamentation. Here's one round of the tune, and let's throw in all of the fun stuff. Alright, there's a ridiculous amount of things going on in that, and just draw your attention to one or two. One is one of my favorite things to do, is a hammer-on triplet. So we're picking the A, we're making the C sharp by hammering on the middle finger, and picking the E. And I would pick it down, hammer on, up, down. It's a lovely one. It's very tasty. There are some lovely chord opportunities in the second part, and I'm just going to play a few of them for you. So that's a C chord. It could also be classed as an A minor, I guess. Resolves back to the D, big open A. Rock and roll chord there. very complicated and there's great fun stuff in it. So I do encourage you to try a number of those things. Even you just pick out one or two that work and add them in. And recently we had the great honor of having John Carty on a group Zoom with everybody on Patreon. And one of the nuggets that came away from John's great knowledge and wisdom of music was that if the ornamentation is getting in the way of the rhythm, then leave out the ornamentation. And it's about, letting the tune breathe, but not sacrificing the rhythm for all of the style and all of the ornamentation. And with that in mind, we're going to try a version of the tune where we focus on the simplicity, focus on the rhythm, and not allow it to get cluttered up with lots of ornamentation. And by all means, add in the ornamentation as you can and as you wish, but never at the sacrifice of the rhythm. And that was a wonderful piece of advice from the great John Carty. And I hope you like this version. So that's the Irish version of the Jolly Beggarman. Now let's look at the bluegrass version, the red-haired boy. For this, we might need a little bit of Tony Rice. The red-haired boy. Let's talk about the bluegrass reel. I had to go and have a long think about it, hence the change of costume. As soon as I looked online for the red-haired boy, the first video that pops up is the brilliant Tony Rice playing this with Jerry Douglas, Mark O'Connor, Sam Bush. Hell of a lineup. I believe it's at Merlefest, judging by the wooden stage. Tony, highly regarded flat-picking guitarist and, really lauded by all of the modern-day guitar players. When they talk about rhythm and flow, they all mention Tony Rice. And there's a bunch of Tony Rice licks available all over the internet. He was an extremely influential player. So what I've done, we're taking a look at the Irish version of this tune, which of course is a hornpipe, and the emphasis is very, very different. From a picking point of view, the bluegrass reel is played much straighter than an Irish reel. There's no ornamentation, so they don't use triplets or trebles. It's very much about speed, clean picking, and accuracy. Now for me, it's an unusual way to play, because if I was to play the red-haired boy as a hornpipe, alright, so we're leaning heavily on the 1 and the 3 to make that hornpipe rhythm. If I was to play it as an Irish reel, I'll still have that same swing, right? I'm just going to play it a little bit faster like a reel. And I rely heavily on triplets and trebles to help me with the swing and with the flow of the Irish reel playing. If we play this in the strict bluegrass reel style, the rhythm is very straight. There's none of the pull and push and the swing of Irish music. And for me, it puts me under a little bit more pressure in terms of picking. I don't have the get out of jail of using a triplet or an ornament to come off that alternate picking pattern, which can get tiring if you're doing it the entire time. And so this is Tony's version of the Red-Haired Boy, and I'm going to play it in that very strict straight rhythm. We got to look over here because I've got the notes written out. I wanted to get it half right. Yes, classic. Well known for my ability to get up to the high Bs. So let's take a couple of bars like that. It's really down, up, down, up, down, up. And in actual fact, when I'm teaching Irish banjo playing, it's to get away from that sound. Okay, so my entire teaching mechanism up to now has been to play that with swing. And using the triplets will give you an aid to putting swing into it. So this is a very different style of picking for me. The style of picking that I'm using normally to play reels and jigs, it brings with it a lot of looseness and a lot of flexibility, and that helps us to get around that lovely Irish rhythm. My right hand will get quite tired if I just alternate pick the entire time. And I use ornamentation as a kind of a break from the picking. But when I'm trying to play this Tony Rice version, it's very much alternate picking down, up, down the entire way through. And the rhythm is very, very straight because this is the bluegrass style. And so to do this with a level of comfort, I'm actually changing my pick trajectory and the position of my right hand. What I'm trying to do is to shorten the pick movement entirely so that the back and over feels an awful lot more tight and more controlled. Now I'm sacrificing a bit of tone because now I have to come over onto my thumb or onto the pad of my thumb and pick at a different angle. It does help me to really shorten and contain the pick strokes at the expense of tone. Now this is very different than anything that I ever teach in relation to Irish music, which is all about trying to bring swing. But for the purposes of comparing the Jolly Beggarman to the Red-Haired Boy, we do need to try and pick it like a bluegrass picker. So I'm just going to have another crack at this. That doesn't sound too awful. I did some lessons recently on pick angle and pick slanting, and truly to play at these faster speeds, which is probably, I don't know, that's probably about 120 BPM. Again, 120 BPM with that very strict rhythm, angling the hand and changing the pick trajectory seems to help. Just for a bit of pig iron, One of the things with the Irish pick is that it's quite flexible, and this helps with the triplets and helps, I believe, with the swing, and of course it is a much nicer tone. In bluegrass music and mandolin and in guitar, they use much heavier picks, and again, this is about the amount of effort and the speed at which we can go back and over the strings. And so changing the angle of the hand can help with that. And a much heavier pick also helps, because now we're having to strike less, we're having to dig out the notes a lot less because the pick is doing the work. We do sacrifice the tone. So here's the second half, because it's a little bit easier to play, with a 1 mil pick. Now you'll hear the scratchy sound because this is the banjo, but it makes the accuracy and the speed a lot easier. Right? Dare I say, even planting your pinky on the head can help with just making the pick movement smaller and smaller and tighter for this style of playing. So here we'll try it again. Okay, so now we're sacrificing a lot, but we're getting closer to that sound of that bluegrass playing. And it's just purely for comparison purposes. I mean, for my money, Irish music with the swing and the ornamentation is beautiful. There's a lot to be said for the bluegrass playing as well, of course. There's some ideas, there's some thoughts. The big difference between the two is the rhythm, no doubt about it. There's a couple of inflections in terms of where the melody goes to catch some of the upper notes, but mostly the rhythm is the big difference. For us, from a banjo playing point of view, the pick direction, the pick angle, the thickness of the pick can play a huge role in playing bluegrass music, because we need to have that really tight hand and really small pick strokes. There's no escape because it's so regimented and it's so tight in terms of that down up down rhythm. In Irish music, because we're constantly trying to bring the breath and the phrase, and we're putting in ornamentation, we create the escape from the down up 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 picking. So bluegrass is a little bit harder to play because of that.